Josie, hi, and welcome back to Radio Out There. Haven't seen you for a while. How are you?
I've been hiding. I'm very well, thank you.
Hiding what? What have you been? But you've been in Melbourne doing some wonderful conference work down there, haven't you?
Yes, I've also been at the launch of an exciting documentary into quantum consciousness, which I've been part of, and that
Mm.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you are always busy. You're also running a wonderful healing circle at the moment. We'll talk about that shortly. But first of all, as you know, last week on air, I played that wonderful prophecy from Edgar Cayce about the times we are in. Unbelievable. It was sent to me from Borneo via a friend of mine, and then I found out that it is part of some wonderful programs put out. And you know who the narrator is, don't you?
Who is that, Barry?
David Attenborough.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. So that adds such authority. But it's a wonderful, wonderful project. If any of you listeners or viewers haven't seen or heard it, please have a listen because it explains so much about what is going on right now. Now, Josie, first of all, the prophecy. You've always been, you told me, um, well, not a follower, but very, very interested in the whole of educated prophecies.
Absolutely. I've done quite a number of courses through the Philosophical Society in America.
Oh,
And
yeah.
obviously, Edgar had a great deal to do with the establishment of that. So, a lot of their programs are significantly founded on his great body of work.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean, these forecasts came through 80, 90 years ago, and they're coming true right now. Unbelievable. The sleeping prophet. Would you like to explain to people how, who don't know, how the sleeping prophet worked?
Well, it exists in all of us. So we have innate wisdom and innate potentials that are dormant until such time as we remember them.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they come forward in times of great challenge, suffering, adversity, because that's when we're ready and more willing to open our minds and to break existing patterns that have been creating our pain and suffering. That's when we start asking different questions. That's when we go on a quest and a search for greater answers that are more in alignment and resonance with the truth that we start attuning to from within rather than authorities external to ourselves.
Yeah, fair enough. But of course, Casey went into this deep, deep sleep, said all sorts of things he didn't know about, made amazing forecasts, forecast about, did medical analysis and all sorts of things that doctors kept on saying, come on, this is a scam. How can he do that? He only had an eighth grade education. But obviously, he was connected far, far deeper into the universe than everybody ever thought.
There's a lot of people that are channeling entities beyond this realm of consciousness. And that's what he was able to do
Mm,
through
very, very,
trance, through
mm,
hypnotherapy,
yeah, yeah, very,
meditation.
indeed. Now, that is one thing. We'll talk about that with the healing bit, but I find that when I wake up in the morning, I'm aching to do a meditation. So the first thing I do, or the second thing actually, but we won't go into the first one, I like to have my meditation start the day. And I was given a wonderful word, or two words actually, on the day that turned out that it was going to be invasion that happened on the 20th of February. And I was told this today is a turning point. Now, that came to me in a deep, deep meditation. Now, that is also one of the words that Casey used in the program that we had last week and his forecast prophecy about where we are in 2026. And, well, he described a man, first of all, with hair like gold. So, who else could that be?
I wonder.
But the man was to be able to have such a huge influence. And this was over 80 years ago, 85 actually. So tell us a bit of your reactions on why you, or what you felt about this whole prophecy.
Look, I think cycles repeat themselves until they're
Mm.
finally broken. And humanity has reached a turning point where the consciousness on this planet is changing. And it usually takes someone to lead the charge
Mm.
or the change. And there's many more of us now starting to come together to
Yeah.
raise our frequency, to raise our consciousness, to become more compassionate and more aware and embodied in the truth that we are one humanity, that the wars of the past are not necessary when we can bring greater love and peace to the planet, which is what it's screaming, what we're all screaming for right now.
Well, that's right, because also in that broadcast it mentioned that every 2,000 years humanity has a great transformation. 2,000 years ago it was the time of Christianity, and now it's the man with the golden hair. Who else would that be?
Well, I think we all are sovereign as well. We are all creators of our reality, and there
Mm.
may be a significant global figure who's creating great disruption and significant change in the world. But it also gives us an opportunity to look at what's going on and to ask and answer a very important question, and that is, what feels true and right for me? And what is the role that I wish to play in this world? Do I want to amplify patterns of the past, or do I want to be an advocate, a creator for the change that we really desperately need on this planet to make us all sustainable?
Very true, very true. In fact, very appropriate because in a previous program about astrology, this year, one of the big things to do is to look at yourself. I mentioned this on air a few weeks ago, and say, who am I? So what do we do? How hard is that?
Well, most people will answer, I am a mother, a father, the role I play in my work. There's a deeper answer that we're really called to connect with at this time, and to realize that we are so much more than this physical being and the roles that we act out and play out in this life. And that's when people start to realize our oneness, the interconnectivity of every thought, of every emotion, of every action, that you may think that you're a drop in this ocean, but what if you reframed that understanding to realize that you are the ocean in a drop?
Well, that's right. And it's hard because we are living in an unbelievable age of materialism where everything around us is more important than who we are inside. So we avoid that. Who am I? Oh, I'm this person who lives in this house. I do this, I do that. I'm looking for a new car. There's not more to life than that, though.
Yes, and I believe that we avoid it until we are forced to confront it. And for me personally, it really came to a head a couple of years ago when I had my last near-death experience, where I literally drew my last breath. I entered this realm of awareness beyond the physical form. I said goodbye to my son, which was just heart-wrenching. And in the moments leading up to that goodbye, I was really thinking, I'm about to leave this life, and the only thing that's important right now is the love and the relationships in my life. It was nothing to do with the wealth or the assets I had accumulated or the awards that I'd won globally or anything like that. At the end of the day, what was really important to me was those people that mattered to me and the love that I held in my heart. And that was it. So when you get to that pointy edge of life, you realize nothing really matters except love and the connections and the relationships.
Mm. Well,
That's the footprint.
love has been described as the binding force of the universe.
Mm.
I don't know where that came from, but I've always loved that aspect of it. And that's what holds us all together. But at the moment, as you said before, love seems to be sort of pushed aside. And how do we get it back? As a humanity, as a collective, how do we get that back?
I think the view on the word love, it sounds soft, and a lot of people don't see the relative. I mean, they understand what it is, they understand how important it is to relationship, but I don't think people fully appreciate the energy and the force and power of love. So, love itself is an energy that expands. The opposite of love is actually fear, and the energy of fear contracts. And the way the programs in this world tend to work is that by keeping people in a fear based mode, it contracts their capacity to think freely and critically about what's going on and what they ought to do. Instead, they become a bit of like a sheep and follow the patterns of what everybody else is doing rather than think freely for themselves and to create in a more expanded, aware way with intention.
Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. Why though? Why have we pushed love away? Because I mean, people now use the word, "Oh, I love a glass of wine." Oh, I'd love to have one of those. Love has become almost another version of the word like or I want, whereas love is far deeper than that. So, what what's your thoughts on that?
I'm reminded of in the Bible, the First Corinthians verse 13, I think it is, which gets read at a lot of weddings, where it talks about the nature of love. That love is giving, love is kind, love is compassionate. It's not quick to anger. It doesn't react. It's about putting yourself into the shoes of other people and understanding what would love say, how would love respond to this, rather than react to situations that may trigger a non-loving response, which doesn't feel good at all. But a lot of people are in that fight, flight, freeze mode. And when you're in that triggered state, it's very difficult to have emotional regulation and to think clearly about how best to respond beyond the moment for the long run, for the greater good.
Yeah, well, that's very true. And getting back to what Edgar Cayce said, he said we will be in a time which obviously, when you analyze it, was the years or are the years from 2025 to 2030, in the years where we have to examine love as opposed to being controlled. And fear, of course, is the greater mover of control. So he analysed, forecast, prophesied that over, well, nearly 90 years ago now. So the fact that love has been an integral part of our development, soul growth, and whatever for all that time, we haven't learned a lot, have we?
Wow, I think some people have learnt more than others.
Yeah. But where do we go? How do we go from here? That keeps on bugging me on the fact that there is so much hatred in the world, so much division. If you don't agree with exactly what I say or who I vote for or my thoughts on gender or whatever, then you are disinformation, you are a lying person, I can't stand you. I mean, how do we get to that stage where freedom of speech is almost a sin for some people?
I think, Barry, to be honest, the way it works is this: where focus goes, energy flows.
Hmm.
And we have now the internet where we have news at our fingertips 24/7. And if you look at the nature of the news that is broadcast, whether it's on TV or whatever you're tuning into, it's generally negative, and it's generally the same news as yesterday and the day before and the day before that. And it's really taking our sovereignty back and saying, well, hang on a minute. Do I want to continue to amplify what's going on in the world by continuing to attune to that? Or do I wish to change what's going on in the world by changing from within? The changes aren't made from out there. They're changed from here. And a lot of people say, what could I possibly do on one person? Well, guess what? You can do a lot. Because when you change your energetic footprint, you change your frequency and vibration to that greater than, self-service, that you're wishing to create a world with greater love, with greater peace, with greater compassion. Well, start. Start now. Start this moment.
Well, it's about time, because we've been on the way here for a long time now, because not only did Cayce warn us about this all those years ago, decades and decades ago, he warned us about technology. He said, unless we can use, what did I say? Huge advances in technology so fast, humanity has to make a choice to raise awareness or to control each other. He also talked about the power of the media, although in those days there was only newspapers and the early times in radio. So he also forecast people would look into a little box and be able to look in their hand and see and get all this information. So this was a prophecy all this time ago. So it is part of our journey, if you like. I don't like that word, but anyway. But it's part of the path that we have been following for so long. It came out as a cosmic message all those years ago from somebody like Cayce. But we still haven't woken up.
I think there are people waking up, Barry. There's a lot more people waking up now, and they're realizing that all this pain, all this suffering, all this fighting is not necessary to achieve the ultimate outcome that we actually want. So instead of fighting with each other, what if we start loving each other?
Yeah, precisely. So this brings into the question the whole area of healing. Now, I know you are doing healing circles every month at the moment. So how can we heal ourselves? Because people think healing, oh yes, I cut my arm the other day, so I hope that heals up. Or I have a problem with my left knee, I hope it heals. People look at that as healing, but healing is a lot deeper, a lot more universal. So tell me about your healing circle and how we as individuals and a world can heal.
I guess to start that conversation, it's about understanding what healing actually means and how it can happen. And healing can happen on many different levels. It can happen physically. It can happen mentally. There could be loops and patterns that are causing great pain and suffering for people. It can happen emotionally. Those triggered emotional responses and reactions that some people loop into. It can also happen spiritually and metaphysically, where people experience crisis of meaning and purpose. What's it all for? And so the request for healing can happen on many different layers. The idea about healing is this. I've heard over the years, and I've had a lot of experience with healing. I've had cancer a couple of times, and I do a lot of work with people who are not well, whether mentally, emotionally, physically, metaphysically. And the first question is, well, what does that mean to you, and do you actually want a healing? And that sounds like a silly question, because people will obviously say, of course I want a healing. It's like, well, if it was that easy, you would already be working on that. You would be allowing that. And so the idea is to understand, well, what does it mean to you? And do you actually want it? And if you notice any hesitation, instead of beating up on yourself, just get curious about that and go, what belief is it that is holding me back from attaining that or achieving that which I want, which is, I'm saying I want a healing, but for some reason I'm blocking this. And it could be a belief that says, I don't deserve it, I'm not worthy. Who are you to do this? You've done bad things in your history. So there's a desperate cry for forgiveness right there. And the healing won't take place until the forgiveness happens first.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a great general moment. It could be a simple, put your hands on your heart and say sorry. The person or persons or people that may have been affected by whatever it is that you're still holding on to aren't there in this present moment, but you're the one replaying the tape in your brain and crucifying yourself every single time you replay that memory. So the person that needs forgiveness is you, by you. And once you create that freedom, then your cells can go, okay, let me open to the healing that I'm really needing and wanting right now.
I think you've put the uh, focus right there. Healing has to be part of the self development, not control, but self acknowledgement. Because so many people say, I have a healing problem. I'll go to the doctor. Doctor, I have this. Here you are, heal me. So they stand away from healing. They don't even think about having to do something yourself. Now, I've had two cancers too. My first one I wrote a book about because I would not just allow mainstream healing medicine to be there. So I combined with alternative, spiritual, and mainstream. But that required a conscious decision. So I can understand why the subconscious in so many people say, well, it's not up to me, it's up to a doctor or a psychiatrist or the government or somebody. So how do we move that little or large block aside and say, come on, mate, what about your input?
I think there's definitely a place for external specialists in a healing program. However, if the patterns that established the disease in the first place don't actually get changed or interrupted, then the healing will be limited. So a lot of times people are pointing the finger out. It's their fault. They've got to do this, whatever. The thing you've got to look at is every time you point the finger out there's three fingers pointing back.
Pointing back.
And so I always say to people, how are you contributing to this current situation? And when it comes to something like disease, is to say, just get quiet. And you may not like the answer to this, but get quiet and ask yourself, how did I contribute to this blockage in my body? And for me, the first time it was the fact that I wasn't speaking up. I wasn't saying no. I wasn't asserting healthy boundaries. I was so busy pleasing and appeasing and trying to earn the love of those people that I loved and held in higher regard, and therefore disrespected myself. So there's always a metaphysical equation at play to physical. So when I did my master's studies in neuroscience, one of the first things I learned was the mental and emotional will become physical. So there's an equation there. Yeah.
Yeah, so very, very true. Now, you are running healing circles at the moment online. Tell me about those.
So every month I run a 1 hour Zoom healing circle. Anyone can come in and join. And the idea of that is to show people how to set up the conditions to inform the body and ready the body to create a healing. And sometimes they're very extraordinary quantum healing sessions that can achieve surprising healing potentials for people. So I show people and teach them how to prime themselves for a healing, how to ready themselves to receive, and allow themselves to heal. So get out of your own way, open up every cell, get into the space of gratitude, and allow the healing to occur from the inside out.
Okay. So tell me more about quantum healing.
So quantum healing is actually tapping into a consciousness beyond the 3D. So when we go into these sessions, I facilitate this whole hour, and there's resonance in the spoken words, there's resonance in the things that I may do with my hands, and there's resonance in the sound of different pieces of music that I will use and I'm guided to use when I actually do these healing sessions. So they're quite different every time, yet there's a familiarity to the pattern. And the reason for that is that you're learning the process as you go, so that beyond the 1 hour online with me each month, you can continue the practice of your own self-healing in between.
Well, that's so important, isn't it? Because that is the basis of therapy. As you know, I had large health problems last year, and I'm still in therapy. And that therapy helps not only recovery, but also being able to turn your life around and make you think, go within, who am I? And sometimes I think that we do have health problems to create that thing we talked about earlier, who am I? And we're urging people to do this for the next 2 years, because right now, with all those planets around, like Saturn and Neptune, they are saying, have a look, baby, inside. And I think that is so important that we just don't think that, oh, well, healing is, if I don't do it by taking a few tablets, well, is it going to work?
Yes, there's a really beautiful temple in Delphi, at Apollo's temple,
Mm.
and there were three key phrases inscribed into his temple, and they were know thyself, love thyself,
Mm.
be thyself. And for me, they're really key anchors for everybody right now as this planet is awakening to really know the true nature of who you are, to
Yeah,
love who you are, and to be that.
that is so important. Well, let's move along with the times there and have a listen to that program. I've listened to that program 3 times now with Edgar Cayce. There's so much to learn, so please do that. So you talked about Delphi. Now, we had a chat about that last November, about your wonderful Delphi Cave experience, and it's on again this year. And I know what is it, October this year is happening?
September.
Oh,
So we
September.
kick off on the 31st of August.
Right.
I'll meet a group in Athens and make our way to Delphi, where we'll spend 10 days and we'll learn all about the 12 universal laws and actually visit this beautiful cave where I personally received a full body healing back in 2024. I took 8 people back there last year and they all received life-changing experiences as a consequence of the curriculum combined with the visits to the cave. And I'll be taking 12 people with me this year.
Fantastic. So if people want to find out more, they can contact you on your website.
That's right, just go to Josie Thomson, no P.com, go to events, and you'll find all the details for Delphi as well as the monthly healing circles.
Fair enough. Now, some people who may not have been with us before, or even who were, might think, well, hang on, how does walking into a cave and sitting there, how can that heal me?
Well, I wouldn't have had a clue when it happened to me. I had this dream, and you'll be able to watch the video where I actually go into the story about all of this and how it all came about
Yeah.
on my website. But I had a dream of a cave 4 nights in a row, and at the time I had been experiencing a very chronic, serious neurological disorder. And I had tried every trial drug on the market and all sorts of therapies, including ketamine, hospitalized ketamine, and nothing worked. And I was quite unwell. And after the 4th night of having this dream about the cave, I actually said out loud, "Where's this cave?" And I received an answer, and the answer said Delphi. So what do? I got online the next day and booked a ticket to go to Delphi. And I got there and I started searching for this cave. Long story short, I had to earn finding this cave to start with. And then when I got there, I was like, why did I come here? But the second I walked into this cave, it was the most remarkable place I've ever seen. I started seeing and attuning to light, colours and frequencies, which impacted my body in miraculous ways, and I walked out of that cave totally healed.
So this means there is a wonderful energy in this cave that has survived for maybe a couple of thousand years or so. So it must be so powerful. So where did that energy come from, do you think?
I think there are many sacred sites around the world that still hold very potent frequencies for healing. And this just happens to be one. And for some reason, I was called to go. But more importantly, not only was I called to go, I answered the call. And I think this is for anyone listening to this right now. I wonder how many times have you had that call to do something or go somewhere that sounded absolutely remarkable and you discounted it, like I'm sure I did many times before. And then all of a sudden I actually decided to answer the call and look at what happened. And there's much more to that story in terms of surrendering and allowing myself to receive and to trust as well in something bigger than me. Because when you see things and you hear things that don't make any sense to the rational mind, you have to open in different ways. And then other communication channels come online. And once they come online, life's never the same. Yeah.
Now, do you feel that what's happened to you with your healing and your original cancer and whatever, and I know the same with me, is this part of what I refer to in my books as a life contract? We come here with a mission to help others, to do all sorts of things, but experience to grow our soul. So do you feel that it was part of almost an agreement you had with Spirit coming here into this lifetime to go through these things so it would open up for your path and also for others?
Absolutely, I do. I remember that same year I did an ayahuasca journey.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, I did. I never in a
Hey.
million years would have thought I'd do that. But there was a girlfriend who organised a very small, intimate group of 4 women. And at the last minute, one of the women withdrew. And we happened to be talking casually, and she mentioned this. And something in me said, why don't you go? And I was frightened because I'd heard all these mixed stories about ayahuasca, but something felt okay. So I spoke to the shaman who was actually doing the ceremony, and everything felt good. There was no hesitation about it. And it was a remarkable journey. And one of the visions I was given was sitting at a big stone circle table with these incredible beings of light. I couldn't see the top or the bottom of them. They were just like big tubes of beautiful golden light, and they were all around me, and I was here and I was aware that I was here, and they were all like that, all around this table.
Right, yeah.
And each one of them looked at me and said to me, would you like to learn about this? Would you like to learn about this? Would you like to learn about this? And all I could felt was myself nodding, yes, yes, yes. But me in the bed, seeing this visual, I'm going, no, 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 that's too much. That's too much. I can't do it all. But if you know my story, Barry, I signed up for all of it. And I actually got to see the sacred contracts that I said yes to. And I'm praying that I'm done because it's been huge.
Yeah. Wow. So that was quite an experience there. Do you feel that was an out-of-body experience, or was it cosmic or combination, or what?
It was a remembering.
A memory, a past life?
Definitely remembering that moment when I said yes.
Right.
And there was another occasion during that ayahuasca ceremony where I wanted to go outside, so the helpers helped me to go outside. And as I looked up to the skies, Barry, I saw all these stars in the sky, but as I was looking up, I was actually seeing with my physical eyes lines connecting all of the stars in particular ways. And I've never seen that before. Like they don't exist to the physical eyes, but they obviously exist in maps. And I lay on the ground on the grass, and I kept looking up at the stars, and I just kept looking at all these lines and moving my head in alignment with all the lines. And the helpers were saying, are you okay? And I remember saying to them, I'm remembering. Now, I don't mentally remember or understand exactly what it was all about, but somewhere in my subconscious, I know. I connected with something ancient.
Yeah.
And I just needed to have the experience of that.
Yeah. Now, that was with ayahuasca, but I wonder how many people have experiences, not quite as dramatic as yours, but have experiences and I think, hang on, was I dreaming? Was I fantasizing? Would I have too much red wine last night? Or whatever. And sort of think, oh, no, that's a whole bunch of rubbish. And yet, it could well have been a turning point for them.
Well, absolutely. And we get lots of, and Edgar Cayce did a lot of work in dreams as well.
Yes.
And what he said was that, oftentimes dreams are never ever literal. The idea is to write down in as much detail what you dreamt about, numbers, colors, places, everything. And then in one column, and then in the second column, right beside it, what does that represent? Like a vehicle is how you travel through life. If you're in the driver's seat, it's you actually being in charge, calling the shots. If you're in the back seat or passenger seat, where are you usurping your sovereignty and your authority over your life? So there's lots of ways of interpreting these dreams that speak to us in metaphor.
Fair enough. Now, we started with Edgar Cayce, so let's finish on this note. That what have you learned, or what have you gained, or how has all your study into Edgar Cayce affected your life, and what are your favourite? As a triple question, just answer the first bit.
I think
Sorry
for
about that.
me, what Edgar taught was around the fact that we are powerful, sovereign creators of reality. And for me, that very clearly aligns with what I'm all about, why this very analytical person went on to study neuroscience and metaphysics, and now I bridge science and spirituality and teach people how to become conscious, sovereign creators of their reality and their healing. So it's been a very significant body of work that I draw from.
Yeah, indeed. I think if people want to find out a bit more about Edgar Cayce and some of his maybe his courses or whatever, um, is there a foundation or something like that?
Yeah, go to the Philosophical Research Society, the PRS, and you'll find out a heap of what's available there founded on his work.
Fantastic. I wonder also if anybody has sent through or received messages from him, not so much channeling, but has he contacted people since then, do you know?
Oh, I'm sure he has.
I'm sure he would have, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to follow up on that and find out just what impact Casey had after he passed over and went back to the afterlife, because he
And
did so much
continues to
good
have.
work here, helping people and so much development and so many wonderful things that surely it didn't end when he died in what, 1945 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lady called Kelly Cologne, and she channels the angel Raphael. And in recent times, she's also been channeling people that have passed over, doctors and teachers.
Yeah.
And it's very possible that someone is also connecting with Edgar from the
Yeah.
other side.
Well, that's what I was checking out because, and thank you, by the way, you sent me that interview or Zoom session with Pam Gregory, wonderful astrologer, and also Kelly Cologne. So I might follow that one up.
Yeah.
But fantastic person. All right, Josie. Oh, today, as we record, it is Wednesday. So your Thankful Thursday comes out, and although it's a few days away, as we are aware, how did Thankful Thursday come about, and what actually is it for those people who haven't a clue what we're talking about?
Okay. Well, I've been writing a Thankful Thursday post probably for well over 10 years now, and I do it every single week. And it's really just a practical, sustainable practice of gratitude. And gratitude really amplifies greater love and gratefulness in my life. And
Yeah.
it's something that I like to do. So every morning when I do my meditation on a Thursday morning, I ask, what's my gratitude message for today? So whatever that is, I just get on and share it on Facebook mostly. And if it's appropriate, I'll share it on LinkedIn. But generally, it's on Facebook, and I think it gets shared over to Instagram as well.
All right, fair enough. So if people want it, connect with you on Facebook.
Absolutely.
There we are. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. All right, Josie, well, thank you so much for your time. And if people want to contact you, as you said before, just what was your contact point again?
Yeah, josiethomson.com, JOSIETHOMSON.com.
.com. Fantastic. All right, and maybe soon I might pop into your healing circle.
Lovely to see you again,
All
Barry.
right. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot, Josie. All the very
Thank
best.
you. Bye now.